Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
So I recently got engaged. My fiance and I are both 36 years old. We're looking to start a Brady Bunch. We've got 5 kids between 10 and 12 between us.
Oh, wow. Between 10 and 12? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I have twin sons who are 11, and she has a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and 12-year-old.
Oh,
Wow,
my
wow,
gosh.
wow.
That's going to be a house full. That's fun. So great.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Yep. So the reason I'm calling is because we have a pretty large difference in assets. And I think based on your advice, the advice would be that we should get a prenup. So I have roughly $12 million and she has roughly $50,000. And so we started the process of looking into a prenup, and it's been an emotional one. And I totally understand why. And I think especially like we went through a questionnaire talking together about it. But then when we got the first draft back from my lawyer, that's when she's really not been feeling good about it. And I understand the concerns. So, I mean, she feels like I wouldn't be fully entering the marriage in the same way that she is, because it feels like I'm holding assets like separately off to the side. And I'm sensitive to that, and especially in some of the context of her former relationship. And so I'm just looking for maybe more clarity and like what you guys would recommend.
Oh, man, this is a hard one because I think it is a wise decision to do one. And I say that even more. I have a friend who's going through not a great situation, and she came in with a lot more. And now he's just, it's just messy. It's messy. And there's a level, again, you're hoping and praying, obviously, that this is the one and that it's going to last a lifetime. Mm-hmm. But as you guys have experienced, there is a reality to all of this. And whenever any of us get married, right? I think there is like this, okay, I'm choosing you for a reason and for a lifetime. But we also don't live under a rock and know that things change in life and situations come up, and unfortunately some really hard things happen and does causes marriages to break up, right? To enter into divorce, and we don't want that. So what were I'm curious, what were the parts of it that was making her, because you guys went through a questionnaire together and it didn't sound like the questionnaire brought up a lot of red flags, but when she was actually reading it, does she feel like she won't be taken care of if something happens, or what's that underlying?
That's a concern. Yeah. Yes. And I think especially her kids as well too. And it's something that I want to address, and I think we could address in a will or some other document or method after we get married. And it's something that I want to do. I absolutely would want her and her kids to be taken care of too if something didn't happen to us. I think it also it feels very condescending to her that that either she, and I don't see it being a problem for her at all. My goal in this, and I think that's what your advice is that in our case, that I know is rare, it would help protect our marriage, and that's what I want to do. But I totally understand that she feels it's condescending, to her, maybe her and her family and her friends, that they might be a problem, and that we would need this to protect against them.
Can I ask how stringent this prenup is, how strict it is? Because when I've heard calls about this before, my question is always, is there a way that this can be more progressive, that maybe over time and over years, some of the restrictions fall off? Does that make sense, to where it's the longer we're together and the more that this feels right, some of this starts to fall off, and now we start to become one, and after a while it's all gone and we are one? Is there anything built in like that?
So there's nothing currently built in like that. So other than that, it's pretty basic. So everything we enter into the marriage with is separate property, except she has a small amount of debt, and she's been awesome about eliminating debt, especially the situation she came from. But I don't want her to carry it all. We would just pay it off. And then everything after the date of the marriage is shared. So income that I make or she made, we just share it. Our plan is that she would stop working. She'd be able to be home with all these kids.
Does that include interest on the 12 million, as that grows, or does any growth on that 12 million remain yours?
Yeah, so at least as it's currently structured, the growth in that would remain mine. I think we have talked about, it's not in the document, but like if I were to stop working to also help with the kids, which would be an option, like that the income that we drew from that would be considered our income.
I think I
Yeah.
would.
And
Yeah,
then-
I'd be wondering about that if I were entering in that marriage. Like, how can we protect what you've already created, but how can I be a player and how that grows from here on out? Like, how can I be a part of that? I think I might be wondering about that. That's tough, man.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, and then the only other additional part is we're planning to get a house, and I was just going to buy the house. We title it in both of our names. I just consider it community property.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it sounds like you're being very gracious about this, Derek. I think it's such a hard line to be wise in a situation and being, I mean, you don't sound like you're drawing these crazy hard lines and you know what I mean? And you're
No.
pushing it like it's, your tone feels very humble and gracious, which I mean, I think she probably very much appreciates. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I were in her position, which you never can fully do for somebody, you know, there's a part of me that, I don't know, I think I would understand you're coming in with 12 million.
Yeah.
And I understand that's not mine right now, right? Like there's, I don't know.
Yeah. This one's hard for me. I see.
Are you an anti-prenup?
No, I'm not. I would not go that far. I think it's just, it is a very tough way to start out a marriage, clearly.
Yes.
Because we're dividing yours versus mine.
Yep.
And everything else in the marriage is we say we, us, our. So it is tough. And if you're a person, I'll put myself in the shoes. Me, I've always viewed, when you enter a marriage, it's like this.
Yes.
You don't know who you're going to fall in love with. And that
Yes.
person happens to be loaded. And now suddenly you're like, oh, this picture I had of it being ours is not possible. That's just tough. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just tough.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, Derek, I think it's too, I think it can feel like the 12 million's off in this corner and we're never going to participate in it. But I think it comes into it's mine if something happens. But up until that point, it's ours. Like we're sharing assets.
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
Like we are living our lives together as one. But for some reason, if something ever happened in a divorce, this part still goes back to me. Does that make sense? I wonder if framing it
That's a good way to frame it because that
with
actually,
her, because it can be hers, right? Like you guys can share in this. It's the only time it's not hers is if you guys legally go through a divorce. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Would
Yeah,
you-
it totally makes sense. And that is how we want to live going into the marriage.
Yeah.
too.
And it sounds like
That is
that's,
ours.
and that sounds like your attitude because you're going to take some of our money and we're going to buy a house together with this money and use this money for our family. So I think it's such a fine line, Derek. I mean, it's so hard, but I think I would keep and bring in a third party. If there's a great marriage counselor or therapist, honestly, it's something to think through and even get other opinions because, you want to be on the same page with this.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.